Hustle, hustle, yeah, hustle.
What up, what up, what up, y'all? It's the one only Prophet McFly. See, ran of the day, ran of the night, I guess, obviously. Thinking, pondering, planning, working on, as usual, executing, most importantly. Don't get caught up in all the other parts, you forget about the execution. I don't even know how I'm wearing this. I'm in the alley by myself, so it doesn't make a difference. So, what I want to talk to you guys about tonight, is decades since Malcolm X got killed, assassinated, murdered, taken from us. So I know I talked about COINTELPRO a few weeks ago. This is a real set of Black History Month rants, but to even discuss COINTELPRO, we have to talk about the successful assassination of Malcolm X, and I don't think I'm privy or qualified enough to actually speak about it. I mean, I know more than I let on, but that's not even enough. I think Alex Haley's autobiography, it says more than I think a lot of people realize. And there's a lot of other accounts that, in my opinion, could be life-changing for you if you spend the time to learn. Allow yourself to be open to the wisdom and insight of a man whose growth and change scared people. My friends, my actual followers and fans know that on Politically Miscorrect, I played a character. Almost. And that, while not necessary, it did exist the way it did for a reason. I'm gonna keep it real. It existed that way because I knew that on a right-wing podcast, being the angry black man would draw more views than the eloquent one. And to be completely honest with you, that's kind of the reason why I invited District 6 onto. So let's keep it real. This rant of the day has nothing to do with any of that at all. Scope and complexities of that program and the purpose of that platform doesn't even begin to reach relevance when we discuss people like this, so I'm gonna stay on point. But microcosm, there's lessons from this man in every aspect of life. I follow his daughter, and it's funny to see how on one day my timeline reflects hers, and then like the rest of the year people just forget. It's kind of crazy. And I also want to keep it completely blunt. I think part of the reason why Dr. King was so preferred. I think a racist person, a KKK person, prefers Dr. King to Malcolm X because, you know, they don't always like when we fight back, especially when we can win. When it's LeBron fighting back, when it's a 6'8" billionaire, when it's Jay-Z fighting back, you know what I mean? Like, when it's Beyonce fighting back, you might lose. So, and I think we all have that power. We just have to tap into that in this shit. I tell artists I work with all the time, yo, learn how to tap into your black joy. That shit's powerful. Women, learn how to tap into your pain. That shit's powerful. If you know how to translate your immediate pain into your art, one, it's powerful, probably make great art, and two, it changes your life. And people don't think of Malik El-Hajj Shabazz as he's a poet, but he's one of the best. As a literate, as an author, as a philosopher. We get caught up on activism and kind of, in the scope of a man like him, really shrinks the man. So, if you don't understand any of the shit that happened last summer, if you understand all the shit that happened last summer, if you don't care for any of the shit that happened last summer, or don't care about it, I think it's irrelevant, I think it's gonna pass, I challenge you to read The Autobiography of Malcolm X by Alex Haley. Challenge you to do that shit. And I bet you, if you had a difference of opinion, it might change. I also want to say that people change and develop and grow, and the man that was read became a man that was not just a holy man, but a dude that understood the complexities of life on a different level. A pastor, minister, obviously a impressive father, community leader. You know, his job was the work of the people. How many revolutionaries exist? How many rappers exist? How many, you know? Does Ice Cube, does NWA exist? Does NWA, Ice Cube, and Eazy-E exist in the way they do today without Malcolm X? Do the X-Men exist in the way they do today without Malcolm X? I mean, and the reason why he's not in your high school textbook, it wasn't. The reason why his role is always downplayed compared to Martin. The reason why he's only seen as a civil rights leader. It's the same reason why we need this month. And people who celebrate this month need to celebrate this all year. I say dive in your blackness, dive in your culture. Even if you're not black, if you're Asian, dive in whatever heritage culture you come from. Japanese, Chinese, Thailand, Korean, South Korean, whatever the flow is, dive in that shit. Be you. Dr. Jane Elliott says America is not supposed to be a mixing bowl, but a salad. And I feel like people like Malcolm X built that logic in this country. Assimilation is not a good thing. But like I was saying, so after Mecca, the man was able to scale and scope his vision, see it outside of just his people. A lot of people ask me why I moved there, and sometimes I still live here, I don't know. But I do say this, I get it now. When I tell people that we need to defund the police, it's not because we need to defund the police. When I tell people 13th Amendment is bullshit, it's not because it's bullshit. I mean, it is. Both those things are true. It's because they earned a time, and it was kind of the same fight that Malcolm was. It's kind of the same fight George Orwell was. Kind of the same fight George Washington Carver was. We will become slaves to our conditions. Fuck governors and politicians and corporations, just our conditions. If we refuse to evolve, if we refuse to grow, if you refuse to look outside of yourself, look outside of your window, look outside of your neighborhood, while looking through the eyeglass, the view glass, the specter of your soul. It's a difficult challenge. If you wanted to figure out how to make it easier, again, Autobiography of Malcolm X. So I guess you guys get the theme for tonight's rant. And again, like the Huey P. Newton, I kind of just sat back and watched and saw how today played out. And again, for the people who, I'm saying again a lot, apologize, but for the people who, I'm saying again a lot, but no cap, it's necessary. For all the people who are like, why is Black History Month in February? This shit don't make no sense. It's the slowest. Here's why. Malcolm, Huey. It's not just about the birthdays and the presidents and all the bullshit that we have to say to make it okay with groups of people who would carry Confederate flags through the rotunda. It's about, because tolerance means we tolerate them too. Unfortunately, to some level, like until I get to the Nazi fascist shit, then we don't have to tolerate them. Well, fuck them. People always talk about socialism. Socialism is socialism. They always promote socialism. Black plans promote socialism. Listen. Socialism is how you fight capital. The way you shrink the wealth gap is by allowing more people to be able to jump that gap and allowing a bigger middle class. In every society, there's always a lower slave labor class. Not slave labor, but slave labor class. I'm going to say it like that is that someone has to make minimum wage. It's the only way capitalism works. But we can make it so that the fewest amount of people make minimum wage, the second fewest amount of people are at the top of the hill and make the 1%, and everyone else falls in between. Which is kind of how it is now, but the dynamics of the numbers don't represent what I just said. I'm trying to cross some ice, and this shit's scary as fuck. Here, I will flip it around so you guys can see. So, yeah. Kind of trapped. I don't even know how I got here, because I'm talking to y'all. But, like I was saying, if I bust my ass in this video, this shit better go viral. I'm not though. Almost. Alright, so like I was saying about the great, Blake Great, the one and only Liga Hajj El Shabazz. I don't know, it was Malcolm X. And I'm not even like saying anything negative about the Nation of Islam, but post this silencing, I mean, absence makes the hearts go fonder. I think America maybe grew less fond of him or more fond of him, but you know what really did happen? A lot of people grew way more fonder of his ability to keep it real. Same reason why we like Pac. So, what I want you guys to do is, that's bright. If you live in Forks, y'all know exactly where I'm at. So, what I want you guys to do is learn, listen, not to me. I mean, like, subscribe, do all that jazz, comment, tell me I'm some bullshit, but listen to them. Listen to him, listen to Malcolm X. Like Pac, like everyone else, he saw this shit coming, predicted it, called it. And the scope and scale and the depth and dimension of which he called it, the time and when he did, it's scarier, sadder, more surprising, more disappointing, you know. And I honestly, desperately, almost want all my fellow Americans, from the people who hate me in this town to the people who love me in every town, because I got love for all, who got love for all, to really look into what was actually said. I talk about this with basketball all the time. You guys probably hear this if you play 2K, play 2K19 at least, or 20. Bill Simmons talking about Wilt Chamberlain and Bill Russell and how everyone knew Wilt was better until you go back and read all the shit and look at all the shit from that era, and then you find out that Wilt wasn't better and everyone knew the opposite, and the shit that we hear today is just cappity cap nostalgia, analytics, and looking at shit from a different perspective. All of the above. And the way we combat that is simply by being knowledgeable. The way we combat that is by simply looking at the source. Not to jump back to it, there's an episode of Politically Miscorrect when I'm talking about, and I want to say it's the January 6th one, when I'm talking about what happened at the Capitol. And everyone that's not defending but deferring from what happened at the Capitol and talking some other bullshit, not just doing that, but they make my persisting on talking about the current event, persisting on talking about the relevant item, what's happening while we're on the podcast, is somehow hate mongering. But the act itself isn't. Me talking about these motherfuckers storming and when we called out is hate mongering. Them doing the act, carrying that Confederate flag, all that shit, not. Bernice King posted a quote. I'm gonna paraphrase. People show you who they are, you need to believe them. Off the jumping the first time, and that's definitely facts. But again, I digress. I promise you this is the last again I hit you with, and that's probably cat. But for your sake, for my sake, for the betterment of this planet, the betterment of our society, please read the autobiography of Malcolm X by Alex Haley, and everything else that Malcolm X has ever published, and read it chronologically if possible. So, like, you know, when you listen to a rapper, you can tell, oh, this is when Lil Wayne was 13. This is when Lil Wayne was. There's no lollipop without bling bling, right? It's not even possible. Like, you can't get to lick me like a lollipop without making bling bling. You know, much as I hate Lil Wayne, him and Soulja Boy are the prototype for all the face tattoo rappers today. I feel like that happens because there are no, or enough of the opposites. There are no Malcolm X's. I mean, there's some revolutionary ass motherfuckers. And I shout them out in so many of these rants, I'm not gonna even talk about them right now, because purpose of today's rant, again, is to remind you to, if you've never read the autobiography of Malcolm X. Get it? You got it? I think I've driven the point home. And before my chickens come to roost, I'm gonna get my black ass home. It's the end of the month, and it ain't where you from, it's where you at. So thank y'all for tuning in, watching. Make it do what it do. And remember, so I was gonna hit you with a quote, but as much as that might entice you to read some shit, I feel like it defeats the purpose. Because Malcolm was big on stepping up. Anyway, even though it's kind of warm here, right now I'm currently walking through like Texas temperatures. So if you can't tell, I'm losing feeling in my face, and I'm gonna put my mask back on. And deal with life. Even the mask, if you read Malcolm X, you realize even there's metaphors about that shit. But thanks for tuning in, y'all. Make black history every day. Make history every day. Let's play some.